Welcome to our immigration briefing program. Today, we dive into some pressing immigration issues making headlines. First up, the USCIS is planning to vet social media profiles of green card applicants already in the US, sparking significant backlash over concerns of free speech infringement and potential discrimination against certain groups. Next, we shift gears to Brisbane, where the City Council has rolled out a smart ticketing system for public transport. Passengers can now use their credit debit cards and smart devices to easily tap on and off, while still keeping their Go cards valid. This initiative aims to streamline the travel experience for commuters. Lastly, we discuss the case of Mahmoud Khalil, a detained Columbia University activist whose wife is fervently defending him against allegations of supporting Hamas. This situation highlights broader issues of free speech and the challenges faced by individuals involved in activism. Please stay tuned for more detailed coverage. The Independent reports on a controversial proposal from the Trump administration that would require green card applicants already residing in the U.S. to provide their social media handles for vetting purposes. This move, aimed at enhancing national security and identity verification, has sparked significant backlash from civil rights advocates and the public, who argue it infringes on free speech rights. Many commenters expressed concerns that such scrutiny would create a chilling effect on online expression, especially among individuals from politically sensitive backgrounds. Critics also highlighted specific cases, such as that of Mahmoud Khalil, a green card holder labeled pro-Hamas, whose detention has raised alarms about the disproportionate targeting of voices critical of U.S. foreign policy. In a related story covered by Al Jazeera, Noor Abdallah, the wife of detained Palestinian activist Mahmoud Khalil, vehemently denies allegations from U.S. officials that her husband supported Hamas. She describes the claims as baseless and part of a broader attempt to silence dissent against U.S. policies regarding Israel and Palestine. Khalil, who was a vocal advocate for Palestinian rights and a negotiator for protests at Columbia University, has been described as a political prisoner, with his detention seen as a direct attack on free speech. Despite a temporary legal reprieve from deportation, the looming threat of removal under controversial immigration laws continues to cast a shadow over Khalil's future. The Australian Broadcasting Corporation highlights the rollout of smart ticketing across Brisbane's public transport system, which allows passengers to use credit cards, debit cards, and smart devices to tap on and off buses and metro services. This new system aims to provide more convenient payment options without additional fees, although users must remember to use the same card for both tapping on and off. While traditional Go cards remain in use, the transition to smart ticketing marks a significant step towards modernizing Brisbane's public transport, with plans for future updates that may include virtual tokens for mobile wallets. The initiative reflects a broader trend towards contactless payment methods, which have gained popularity during the COVID-19 pandemic for their efficiency and safety. Al Jazeera reports on the alarming escalation of the Trump administration's campaign against dissent within academic institutions, particularly targeting Columbia University. The recent detainment of Mahmoud Khalil, a graduate and activist for Palestinian solidarity, alongside the revocation of Ranjani Srinivasan's visa and the arrest of Lika Cordia, highlights a concerning trend of suppression. Columbia's compliance with federal demands, including expelling students involved in protests and enforcing stricter policing on campus, signals a broader effort to control ideological narratives in higher education. This assault is not merely about curbing pro-Palestinian activism, it represents an ideological battle to reshape academia into a bastion of conservative nationalism, echoing historical patterns of repression reminiscent of McCarthyism. BBC details a significant immigration enforcement operation in Belfast, where over 30 individuals were arrested at a construction site in the Titanic Quarter. The Home Office, acting on intelligence regarding illegal workers, apprehended 35 Romanian men and a 16-year-old boy, citing offences ranging from visa breaches to illegal entry. The crackdown is part of a broader initiative to combat illegal working across the UK, with officials emphasising the need to hold both workers and employers accountable. The operation reflects the government's commitment to tackling illegal immigration and its associated issues, including poor working conditions and exploitation, as stated by Minister Dame Angela Eagle. The Sydney Morning Herald presents a personal reflection on the persistence of racism in Australia, particularly as expressed through the social media accounts of young Australians espousing anti-immigrant sentiments. The author, Zoya Patel, grapples with the disheartening realization that the racism she believed was fading has not only persisted but has also found a new voice among the youth. The rise of such divisive rhetoric challenges her previous assumptions about the gradual acceptance of multiculturalism in Australia. As she contemplates her mixed-race son's identity and the societal attitudes he may face, Patel confronts the harsh reality that racism remains a pervasive issue, complicating her hopes for a more inclusive future. South China Morning Post reports on the heart-wrenching closure of Dundas Cafe in Hong Kong, a sanctuary for nearly 300 stray cats since its opening in 2016. Owner Shu Lam Lam, who has dedicated her life to rescuing and caring for these felines, announced that the cafe will shut its doors on March 31 due to unsustainable rent costs of 70,000 Hong Kong dollars, $9,000 amid declining customer patronage. Shu reflects on her journey with warmth and sorrow, likening her experience to a bowl of warm soup, filled with joy yet bittersweet as she prepares to part with the cats she has nurtured. While most of the cats have found homes, around 40 still await adoption, and Shu is committed to ensuring they go to responsible owners, demonstrating her unwavering love and dedication to their well-being. Nikkei Asia highlights the emergence of new Chinatowns across Japan, particularly in Tokyo, where neighborhoods like Ikebukuro have become vibrant hubs for Chinese migrants. With approximately 240,000 Chinese nationals residing in Tokyo's central wards, these areas are bustling with authentic Chinese restaurants, supermarkets, and shops catering to the community's needs. Residents like Tang and Zhongmin express their contentment in these enclaves, where language barriers are minimal, and familiar cultural elements thrive. The article illustrates a growing trend of Chinese individuals settling in Japan, with many moving into housing complexes like Kawaguchi Shibuzono Danchi, which now predominantly houses Chinese families, reflecting a shift in demographics and cultural integration. The Sydney Morning Herald sheds light on the troubling experiences of international visitors at U.S. border checkpoints, where recent incidents have seen travelers detained or deported under unclear circumstances. Highlighting the case of a British woman and German tourists who faced lengthy detentions, the article raises concerns about the complexities of U.S. entry requirements. It outlines the necessity for valid passports, visas, or electronic system for travel authorization, ESTA, for entry, emphasizing that obtaining these does not guarantee admission. Visitors are reminded of their rights, including the right to remain silent, but face the reality that U.S. immigration officials have broad authority to deny entry. The article serves as a cautionary tale for travelers, urging them to be aware of the potential challenges they may encounter while navigating U.S. immigration policies. The Independent reports on President Donald Trump's perplexing assertion that he didn't sign a proclamation invoking the Alien and Enemies Act, which aims to expedite the deportation of migrants linked to a Venezuelan gang. When pressed by reporters about the signing, Trump shifted responsibility to others in his administration, including Secretary of State Marco Rubio, despite his digital signature being present on the official document. This has raised significant concerns among analysts and social media users about the legality of the proclamation, especially in light of a federal judge's criticism regarding the hasty deportation process that followed. The White House later clarified that Trump was referring to the original 1798 law and confirmed that he did indeed sign the recent proclamation, which has been challenged as a potential violation of due process. In a historical context, the Australian Broadcasting Corporation discusses the ongoing debate over the size of the public service in Australia, echoing sentiments from as far back as 1951 when then Prime Minister Robert Menzies called for cuts in response to inflation. Current opposition leader Peter Dutton has criticized the Albanese government for increasing federal employees by 36,000 since the last election, yet he has not specified how many jobs he would eliminate. The article delves into the origins of the 36,000 figure, tracing it back to budget papers and highlighting the previous government's staffing cap that led to a reliance on a shadow workforce of contractors and consultants. The Albanese government argues it has been necessary to rebuild the public service to address systemic issues, and even with the staffing increases, the public service remains smaller relative to the population than it was 2 decades ago. The Independent also highlights the controversial closure of 3 Department of Homeland Security offices aimed at advocating for migrants, which the Trump administration labeled as roadblocks to immigration reform. These closures, including the Office for Civil Rights and Civil Liberties, have drawn sharp criticism from Democrats who argue that they undermine transparency and oversight of immigration enforcement. DHS spokesperson Tricia McLaughlin defended the decision, asserting that these offices hindered the department's mission by creating bureaucratic obstacles. Critics within the affected offices have expressed concerns that the closures will severely limit accountability and protect civil rights within the agency, raising alarms about the potential consequences for migrant advocacy and humane treatment in immigration detention facilities. CBC reports that the Canadian government has revised its travel advisory for Canadians planning to visit the United States, emphasizing that visitors intending to stay longer than 30 days must register with U.S. authorities. This new regulation will come into effect on April 11, and failure to comply may result in fines or legal repercussions. Travelers are encouraged to verify their registration status through the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services website or by checking their I-94 admission form on the Customs and Border Protection site. This advisory comes amidst changing sentiments among Canadians about traveling to the U.S., particularly due to President Trump's controversial remarks and policies that have raised concerns about cross-border relations. Al Jazeera reveals that President Trump's administration is set to revoke the temporary legal status of approximately 530,000 immigrants from Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela, effective April 24. This action is part of a broader initiative to tighten immigration policies, which Trump argues are necessary to uphold federal law. The decision has prompted legal challenges from affected immigrants and U.S. citizens seeking to maintain the humanitarian parole programs initiated by the previous administration under President Biden. As these immigrants face the risk of deportation, advocates have expressed fears about the chaos and heartbreak this sudden policy shift could cause for families and communities across the nation. South China Morning Post highlights the impending termination of legal protections for around 532,000 immigrants under a program that allowed entry for individuals from 4 Latin American countries facing dire circumstances. The Department of Homeland Security's announcement means that these individuals must leave the U.S. by April 24 unless they can secure another form of legal status. With the majority of the affected immigrants lacking alternative protections, legal experts warn of the impending turmoil as they navigate their uncertain futures. The situation is compounded by the ongoing humanitarian crises in their home countries, raising urgent questions about the U.S.'s role in addressing these challenges amidst a backdrop of heightened deportation efforts. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.